Yeah.
All right, it's recording.
This is question 5. It's write a program that counts the number of positive, zero, and negative values in a bidimensional array of floats and puts them into separate arrays for positive, negative, and zero. I think. Nope, I lied. Write a program that counts the number of positive, zero, and negative numbers and displays the amount of them. That's it. So first thing we do is just set our integers, positive, zero, negative to zero. These are going to be counters that adds up how many of each value there are. This is going to store our value, and it's going to be a float because they can enter decimal numbers into your input file. And then here we're declaring input, and then after that we open it and check to make sure it's not null. And if it is, we tell them it's an error, and we exit the program. And then here we say if input is not end of file, so if it's if there's actually values inside of it, we go through this for loop, which is for the rows, and then this for loop is the columns, because it's a 6x6 array, so that's why this is 6 and this is 6. And we're taking in the first number and equaling it to num, and then we check whether it's less than 0, equal to 0, positive, just to show you the input file here. So the first scanf is going to take this number, and then it's negative, so it's going to increment negative by 1. And then it's going to go to the next one. It's going to say it's positive. It's going to increment positive by 1. And it's going to keep doing that all the way until it hits the end of file, which is what this is here. Or that's what, I mean, this is going to go through the whole thing, but this, if you really wanted to, could say while or if, it doesn't matter. But once it hit end of file, it's going to print out your values or how many there are, positive, negative, and 0, and then you're going to close the input file. So if we run it, you want to pull this up here. If you want to, you could pause the video and check. But we can just count the zeros because the least amount of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 zeros. And you can see that whether it's 0 or 0.0, it still considers it a 0. And then you can do the same thing for negative, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, and then we have 11. And then positive for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Any questions?
It's for your thing at the bottom, right? It says line 17, comparison between pointer and integer. Do you have any idea what that means?
This? It's because I'm pretty sure that this is a file, and so asterisk is marking this as a pointer. So input is actually just a pointer to input A, and then in C, I think end of file is, let me pull this up. When it reaches here, it has like a I don't know if it's like hexadecimal, but it has like some random value or whatever that it stores, and then you're comparing a pointer to a file to that integer. So technically this is a little whack, but it still works because the compiler still recognizes it as like it being fine, I think.
All right. And then you had I and J be less than 6 because it was a 6x6 array, right?
Yeah, because the start of this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you go from 0 to 5, so less than 6.
And I also noticed your input files, some of the numbers aren't technically a float. If you change, would that have any impact or no?
No,
Like-
because like you can store integer values into floats. So it's just gonna convert, like if I have the value 1, when you put it into a float, it's gonna just convert it into 1.0 or whatever. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's a float integer, it'll all work.
But if you did input is %d instead of %f, you would have a problem, right?
Yeah, let me
All right.
show you. And it's not gonna recognize anything. It counts them all as positive because it's just going to go into the else and count them all. Like if I was to say, else if num is greater than 0, and then run it, it's going to give me zeros because it's not going to recognize the values.
All right, that makes
Okay.
sense.
I just looked it up now. It says end of file. It's usually a negative value. It says it's typically -1, but it could be any other negative number. So this pointer, which is pointing to the file, is being compared to a value of -1. But that's fine because it's going to say once, because when input reaches here, it's going to set it to a value of end of file. So it's going to basically be equal to -1 or whatever end of file is. And then once that, if that was equal, meaning if there's nothing in here, then it just would skip all of this and just go out.
All right, that makes sense.
All right.
I'll stop recording.